Christmas is preposterous. Now, by Christmas, I don't mean the current orgy of capitalism and gluttony and greed and paper flying everywhere and gifts and all that. I mean the traditional Christian definition of Christmas. 2,000 years ago, a baby was born. That baby was born of a virgin mother. That baby was born simultaneously being God and being man. God and man incarnate in the flesh on earth. It's preposterous. Now, I think a lot of Christians would be greeted by that accusation and have some kind of defensive reaction and say, well, you just don't understand, or, well, let me just explain to you. Let me offer this alternative. If you're a Christian watching this, the next time someone says to you, the Christmas story is preposterous, try saying this. I know, isn't it great? Because actually, we live in an age which is dominated by reason, where I would say reason is our operative religion. And reason is a way of logically deducing things, of creating what are called classical inferences. And it's good at some stuff, and it's caused some amazing breakthroughs in human understanding. But it's been so deified, so lifted up on a pedestal, that I think it's easy for us to forget that it's bad at things, that it doesn't actually encompass the full range of human experience. I'm a musician, and for me to try to describe my deep love of the music of Maurice Ravel using reason, it just falls down. I can't do it. I don't want to be able to do it. If I was to explain my love for my wife, there are genuinely irrational aspects to it. My mum said to me years and years and years ago, marriage is an unnatural state. And I think, those of you who are married can probably identify with that in some way. There's an irrationality to human beings. And we live in a world where reason is so elevated that we feel that we have to be able to understand everything. And not only do we have to be able to understand everything, but therefore, by definition, everything is understandable through that particular lens, that filter. And we can see this in all kinds of aspects of the world. So we're constantly trying to understand things through a kind of a paring down and a deconstruction of things. So everything is quantifiable. Aside from being a musician, I am a teacher, and I'm constantly bombarded with this idea, this notion that students are inherently numbers. And, the teacher in me that's looking at grades gets that, but actually the human being in me screams and says, no, they're human beings. And I think we need to hold on to that it's a constant in human understanding to think of humans as some sort of synthesis of chaos and order, of logic and irrationality. They're both part of us. And one of the wonderful things, if you are to believe that there is a God, then, in the 19th century, a lot of the ideas of Christianity came under attack. And a lot of logic was applied to Christianity in a way that it hadn't really been before. And what's the scientific follow-on to that? Well, we get into something called quantum mechanics, where we actually find that when we go far enough into the structure of matter, we find that our ideas of reason fall apart. And so, if God is the creator of the universe, and we understand God partly through trying to understand the universe, then we find at its most fundamental, most basic level, it's irrational. And it operates in a way that just suddenly doesn't make sense. And I think I'm going to have to do a video about that. There were a lot of discoveries in the sort of the first 50 years of the 20th century and the end of the 19th century where they just went, that makes no sense at all. Why is that that way? Why does the universe work that way? And we really don't have good answers that function in a reasonable way about that. So if 2,000 years ago, if the creator of the universe decided to be born in a stable or a manger or, you know, whatever cultural version of that you want to read, and decided to live amongst us as this, yes, God, yes, human, you know, person, it's preposterous. It absolutely is. Let's embrace that. Let's say, yeah, that doesn't make any rational sense. I believe it anyway.